And here we go. We are streaming live. Good morning.
Right. Good morning to you too.
Good morning.
Welcome to Business Express. We're about to go on air in 30 seconds. So, Rotus, will you do the introductions?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to take you both live on radio now. So once I introduce Rotus, we're good to go. Smooth 98.1. It is 30 minutes gone past 6 o'clock, and you are tuned in to your Love Music, Love Life station, where Business Express is with you up until 6:45. And joining me for today's episode, of course, you've come to expect the voice of Rotus. Good morning, Rotus. How you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you, Sope. Good morning to you. Good morning to all our listeners and YouTube viewers. Good to be with you all again. And of course, we have Stanbic IBTC with us going through the banking sector. We've got Babatunde Ogunleye, who's an equity research analyst with Stanbic IBTC. Babatunde, good morning to you.
Good morning, Rotus. Good morning.
Good morning,
everyone, and good morning, and thanks for having me here.
Yes, it's great to have you here. And of course, great to have you here. People of Lagos, Nigeria, the world, wherever it is you are listening to Smooth FM from, you can comment. Make sure you go and send a WhatsApp message to 0809-444-0981. We are also up on Twitter at Smooth981FM. Use the hashtag Business Express and make sure you add 981 right after that. All right, so gentlemen, what do we have for today? What's happening in Nigeria's banking sector?
Yeah, there's the acquisition of Investment One Fund Management Limited by GTCO. That's going to be delving into that with Babatunde. Babatunde, we heard the news. Well, first I want to start. Was there any pricing or valuation that was released with this news of this acquisition?
No, Rotus. So I think based on the press release that was released, the information we got from there was that all regulatory approval has been sought for the acquisition and then the commencement of operation. So in terms of the pricing and valuation of the Investment One acquisition, it wasn't made public.
And isn't there some history here? It wasn't Investment One, just for those who don't know, wasn't it a subsidiary of GTB, Bakerr was GTB at some point in time?
Oh, yes. So at the point, I think when banks were operating the universal banking model, so Investment One used to be known as GT Asset Management. And so during those periods, I think following the directive of CBN in 2010, that made banks divest from universal banking model to focus on commercial banking. So previously, it used to be known as GT Asset Management. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so what's they do, it's asset management and pensions. Yes, what's Investment's position in the market in those areas?
I think before I dive into the position, so just to speak broadly on the sector. So in terms of the sector seems to be highly concentrated. So in this pension space, you have 66% of the players dominating the assets under management market share. So for Investment One positioning, they typically have 0.2% AUM market share. And then the AUM is just asset under management. And then also in terms of the number of RSA accounts, they control 0.9% of the market. So I think one of the key things here is ability of GT to be able to scale in this space remains a key concern. And then also the fact that they've done well with the retail banking. We've seen the way they've been able to change the face of the retail banking. So we think that the ability to execute as well also remain a key upside to this.
So what's GTCO? What exactly would you say they are getting from this conversation?
Okay, so I think the banking environment is tough. You have the regulatory environment is really putting pressure on earnings. So banks are typically seeking ways to be able to diversify their income lines. And speaking of this acquisition, it gives GT Bank the opportunity to be able to diversify because it has a pension arm and it also has an asset management arm. And one of those things that when you have like different subsidiary like this is that you are able to cross-sell effectively. So you're able to sell different banking products from investment to core banking products. So I think it's one of those things that is going to give them leverage in this space as well.
So if we think about the grand vision of GTCO, what they're trying to achieve long term, how does acquiring investment one buy into that vision for them?
Okay, so I think one of the things that GT Bank prides itself most in terms of is customer service. So in terms of being able to innovate and being technology driven. So what we've seen so far in terms of how they've been able to like do this is more or less like having a customer segment. They have over 26 million customer base. And then you want to create a new set of offering for these customers. You want them to have option when it comes to financial services. So acquiring investments, one, just give them that platform to be able to offer a wide range of services to their existing customers.
So is that all this feed into the buy rating that what you guys gave to GTCO in your recent reports on this acquisition?
Oh, so the buy rating was premised on our outlook for the sector. So if you look at GT Bank in the sector, like it seems to be one of the best bank in the tier one space. So this acquisition and these details of the acquisition was released on Monday. So and we need to get back to the market on that. So we've not gotten like a full detail yet from GT Bank based on this acquisition, but based on how the bank have performed in the past relative to the sector, it seems to have like the best in class ROE, that's the return on equity, which is high compared to like other Nigerian banks. In terms of operational efficiency as well, so GT Bank seems to have like a high operating efficiency compared to other banks too as well. And then also their capital buffer as well. So like looking at past history to be able to like factor out how that is going to play out for devaluation, just put them in a better position compared to their peers. So I think that was those were the reason that was guiding our recommendation of that buy.
Great stuff. So what about the rest of the banking sector? Why would you assess things for other players in this space? So tier one, tier two?
Like I mentioned earlier, like the banking environment is tough. And I think one of those things that we've seen earlier this year was the fact that banks typically have like a low asset yield. So like they have a low asset yield, that's the special bills from the CBN. And because of that, that has really constrained margins for the banks. So typically you are getting a low margin in one side. And also on the other hand, you are also being debited for CRR by the CBN, which is also something that is constraining the ability to be able to generate additional liquidity, creating liquidity gaps for the banks. So over time, like we've seen like a very tight regulatory environment. And for the banks as well. So I think one of those things that we're expecting is that we're expecting a rise in interest rates. But the rise in interest rate is going to give the banks ability to be able to price their loan book. So they used to come from a low base during the pandemic where they had to reduce loans on their where they had to reduce like rates on their loans. So going to 2022, we expect them to price it with the rising rate environment. And the ability to also expand credit as well is going to be like a key driver for their earnings in 2022 in the sector, basically.
Good stuff. So do you have any other picks in the sector besides GTCO?
Yeah, so aside GT, so we have Zenith. Zenith too seems to be like have a high operational efficiency, and then also in terms of their ROE too as well, they seems to be strong in the sector. And outside that too as well, we also have UBA. UBA Pan-African strategy. They have a strong Pan-African footprint, which seems to be working well for the group. So aside GT, we have Zenith and UBA.
Okay, and that's what about tier two? Are you guys looking at tier two at all? Anything promising in tier two?
Yeah, we are looking at tier two. So like the likes of Fidelity too seems to we have a speculative buy kind of on Fidelity, but in terms of the fundamental of the company, Fidelity too seems to be doing well in that space. Typically, they have they are driving more of partnerships. So they recently partnered with MyGo to be able to create small ticket loans to the individual segment. So with that, as banks are trying to diversify their earnings, we've seen like more players trying to like be innovative when it comes to like creating a digital kind of banking that sort of support the whole financial services transaction. So with that too, as well, we've seen like players like Fidelity in the tier 2 space, like being doing a lot of things in that space, and also ETI too as well.
And ETI would be because of their Pan-African footprint.
Yeah, Pan-African footprint, right? Yes.
Is that a good strategy to follow for banking, or is there a cost associated with that? The whole spreading your footprint across Africa?
So yeah, so I think spreading your footprint across Africa enables you to diversify regulatory risks in a particular region. So for instance, now Nigeria. So you are neutralizing that risk by spreading your by going outside the country and spreading your your risks. So instead of you being concentrated, you are more of diversifying, and with that too as well, you are able to grow your footprint. So for instance, I think one of the things that banks have leveraged on is payment. So payment seems to happen across Africa. So by having a different base across the African region, you are able to drive payment across this region. So one of those things is also like, that was one of those things that is giving them advantage as well.
Mm. You mentioned digital banking earlier. I think we were talking about Fidelity or so. Do you see Nigeria anytime soon, or I'm not even sure when, switching to a telco-led financial services model rather than the bank-led financial services model that we have right now?
Okay, well, you mentioned in the future, so I think just to give a bit of background on that. So,
how far into the future, because that law.
So I think just to give a bit of background on that. So you know that currently, like the regulatory environment is so uncertain, and everything might just come up. Last year, we saw CBN granting the likes of MTN and Airtel approval in principle for their PSB license. And also last year as well, we saw the in-era was launched as well. So we don't know what might happen. So looking at the trend and seeing what might happen, there might probably be a switch, which is likely in the future. But so when it's going to happen is just when I can't put a specific date on.
Are the telcos a big, when you see what's happening in Kenya, Ghana, and other Africa, are the telcos a big competitor to the banks for financial services?
To an extent, like you can see competition, you can also see partnership. So for the PSB license, do not grant telcos the ability to be able to create loans. So what you see over time is that you see partnership between banks and fintech for them to for the banks to be able to create loans for those telco-based customers, and which is the model Safaricom basically operates. So Safaricom is creating a small ticket loans in partnership with a bank. And going forward in Nigeria too as well, you expect that kind of partnership to also happen between banks and the telcos. But on the deposit side, you might probably see some competition from that perspective. But in terms of it's more of going to be like creating like an ecosystem whereby partnership is also enabled between the banks and also the fintech as well. It's just more of trying to drive financial inclusion.
Okay, I was about to say that. So in the end, that's the benefit for the average Nigerian, to improve financial inclusion across the country. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Look, there's a whole lot to discuss in the banking space. What about the fintechs? Are the fintechs also competition for, or is there also collaboration there with respect to banks as well?
Yeah, so for the fintech, I think what the fintech have done so well is the fact that when it comes to transaction charge, this seems to be much more cheaper compared to like a traditional bank, the likes of Kuda. And then what you've seen in this space too as well is in the lending segment, you'll be seeing fintech partnering with banks. So an example was what I mentioned about Fidelity. So Fidelity partnered with MyGo to be able to create small ticket loans. And also like FCMB too is also driving some partnership to in the lending segment. So in the fintech space as well, you've seen some partnership, but in terms of from a transactional perspective, you've seen competition. So over time, it's just still more of a win-win for everyone, because it's more of, I don't have a strong core competence in this space. Can I look for a player that I can partner with to be able to grow my base? And that's typically UBA strategy across their Pan-African operation. So they are typically partnering with all the fintechs for them to be able to drive payments in this space.
Great stuff. Once again, Babatunde Ogunleye, equity research analyst with Stanbic IBTC, taking us through the GTCO acquisition of Investment One, and also talking through the banking sector. Very exciting space in Nigeria, and there's lots and lots to look forward to in that regard. So, Tunde, really,
anything that drives inclusion, I'm excited about it.
I know, right? Yeah, a whole lot in there. So, Tunde, thank you so much. Really appreciate your insights there.
Yeah, thank you so
All
much.
right,
And thank you for
absolutely
having me.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much, Tunde. So
Thank you.
absolutely fantastic conversation. And make sure you go up on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos, because we have been streaming live. And guess what? If you missed the live stream, you can go and catch the replay, and you can hear Babatunde just going forth on this, because you said some pretty interesting stuff that, you know, people's eyes will be open now. And also you can go ask Rotus if you have any questions. He can direct you towards Babatunde, and he's also up on Twitter at Rotankot. Could you spell that for us, please, Rotus?
Yeah, ROTANKWOT. Babs, are you on Twitter as well? Do you have a handle you want to share?
Yes, Tunde Ogun. CUNDEOGUN. Yeah.
Great.
Oh, Tunde, good. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, gentlemen. And that's that for the show, unfortunately, but you know, timing constraints. So coming up, we've got great music. Thank you, gentlemen, and
thank
goodbye.
you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Business Express on Smooth 98.1 in association with Stanbic IBTC. Stanbic IBTC.